The film begins with a woman named Katerina who is jogging in the morning. After she jogs in the morning, she drives her car to go to school to teach religious lessons. That evening, when Katrina was preparing insulin for her husband Dro, she said she was going to a reunion party for her school friends. But at that time Dro did not give permission for Katcher to go to the reunion because Dro didn't want Katrina to meet her ex-boyfriend from when he was still young, school first Dros, who was a priest at his church, wants to instill religious values in his son Florin, and Dro wants Florin to be like him, namely a priest. However, unlike Katrina, she gives her children more freedom not to follow their father's wishes too much and allows Florin to determine her own wishes. Katrina is not as religious as Dro because she doesn't really care about religion, and she is used to living freely without rules, so when she has to go to see her old friend, she also has to lie to Dros. In the evening, Kina met her student named Lulu. At that time, Katrina saw him sitting alone, and Katrina then took Lulu to a hill for the two of them to talk, and they were talking together without anyone there, so that Lulu got carried away and then tried to taste Katrina's lips, and Katrina, who at that time was shocked by what Lulu had done, decided that they should go home so that the things that Lulu wanted didn't happen. The next day, Katrina saw Lulu already at her house, and it turned out that Lulu was Florence's friend, and they were going to do assignments together at Katrina's house. There, Lulu doesn't show her attitude of wanting Katrina to Florin, and Lulu there helps to carry Katrina shopping. While in the kitchen, Lulu wanted a drink, and Katrina also happened to be there at that time. Lulu tried to tease Katrina, and she, who was shocked at that time, hit Lulu until Lulu's lips were bleeding. That evening, Dros came home and asked Florin to pack up his room, and Lulu, who at that time realized that she had been gently kicked out, decided to go home, and at that time Katrina, who also happened to be leaving the house, also took Lelu home, and while on the way, Lulu's hand teased Katrina again, which immediately made her close her eyes for a moment. The next day, they went to Dr's parent house to celebrate Drago's mother's birthday, but instead of having fun there, Katrina's in-laws continued to insinuate that she was not a good woman. Katrina, who at that time was agitated, then told Drago's mother not to tease her anymore, and she, who at that time was very angry, then left Drago's parent house. Katrina then went home, and she then exchanged her cell phone with Florin's cell phone and took it without Florin knowing. She used Florin's cell phone to contact Lulu and asked him to go back to the hills, and when they got there, they let go of the desires they had been harboring and did it in the car. A few moments later, Katrina came home and immediately gave Florin's cell phone, saying that she had accidentally brought Florin's cell phone because she had swapped it. Florin also said that he knew where Katrina had gone for the past day because Florin had turned on the GPS on his cell phone, which made him know that Katrina had been on the hill for the past day. Dro, who heard their conversation, then asked who Katrina was on the hill with this day, and she answered that she had gone with her female friend on the hill and was alone the next day. Katrina, who didn't want Dros to find out, went to her female friend and told to lie and say they were on the hill last night. If Dro asked her, Katrina's friend actually knows that Katrina left last night with Lelu because she saw Lelu get into Katrina's car last night, and at that time Katrina's friend blamed her more because she had cheated on Dros, and Katrina's friend was afraid that she would have to lie to Dro because Dro was a priest. Katrina, who seems to know that soon their illicit relationship will be exposed, meets Lelu to tell her to end their relationship. She said that Florin knew they were on the hill, and Florence's friend also knew that last night Lelu got into the car and went together. Lelu didn't want to be separated from Katrina. She said she would take care of this problem, and Lelu then just left after saying that that night at Drago's house he didn't see Florin in his room, and he then asked Katrina where Florin was. Katrina, who at that time remembered what Lelu said earlier, then went to Lilu's house to look for Florin. When she arrived there, Katrina saw there was a party at Lilu's house, but she didn't see Florin there. She then immediately scolded Lelu, and a few moments later she saw Florin in the middle of the road, who was drunk. Katrina then approached Florin, who was about to be hit by a vehicle, and Katrina then took Florin into the car to calm Florin down while giving her a drink of water. After that, Katrina then approached Lelu and scolded her for making Florin like that, and Lelu said she did that to find out what Florin knew when they were on the hill, and after listening to Lilia's explanation, she left, leaving Lelu full of anger at school. The next day, Katrina, who was teaching, was given a message by Lelu, namely a photo of Katrina's panties that Lelu had photographed. She said she would share the photo if Katrina didn't want to go back to him. At that time, Katrina ignored Lilia's warning, so Lelu proved it in front of her directly by giving the photo to her friend. When Katrina saw that she took Lilia's cell phone and slammed it and left feeling very angry in his car, he listened to the audio containing Lelu and Dro conversation. Lelu asked Dro for advice about his feelings of love for the woman whose name he was still hiding. That evening when they were eating, Dros asked Florin who didn't come home last night, and Florin answered that he only went to a party thrown by his school friends. A few moments later, Katrina went to Lilia's house again, and there she wanted to say that she really wanted to end their relationship right now. Lelu, who still didn't accept Katrina's request, became angry and immediately wanted to do it again with Katrina. Katrina then struggled to get out of Lilu's grasp, and she managed to leave Lilu's house right then and there using her car. The next day, Katrina was called by the principal to her room, and there the school staff asked whether the photo that had been spread was really Katrina. She answered that the object of the photo was really hers. She then said that Lelu had taken the panties from her house because I was Florence's friend, and when she went to her house, Lelu probably took them from the clothesline at Katrina's house. house when the principal heard that Katrina's explanation made sense, so he decided not to punish Katrina, but because the object of the photo really belonged to Katrina, it caused an uproar. The principal only gave Katrina a score penalty of a few days. While on the way, Katrina heard the conversation between Lelu and Dro in the car, and at that time Lelu said she liked women who already had husbands, and when she said that Lelu had not given Dro the name of the woman she was referring to, Katrina passed her friend's house and saw that there was an ambulance, and it turned out that Katrina's friend had mysteriously died, and it seemed like Lulu had caused the accident. When Katrina arrived home, she was asked by the police to go to the hill with Dros, and when they arrived at the hill, there was Lelu, who was standing on the edge of the cliff. While asking Katrina and Dros to stand in front of her, Lelu told Dros everything about who the woman she was referring to in the conversation was, and Lelu asked Katrina to kneel before Dro and tell everything about what Katrina did with Lelu on this hill. Hearing everything that Katrina said, Dr's disease relapsed, so he had to be carried on a stretcher by the medical team, and while they were helping Dro, Lelu then jumped down the hill to end his life. A few days have passed, and now the relationship between Katrina and her child is not improved, and Katrina is sad because Florin doesn't want to talk to Katrina anymore. At the end of the film, Dro is seen closing the door to Katrina's room so that she can't go anywhere anymore, and the film ends.